Hi, I'm back. Hey y'all. Okay, so I don't know what's wrong with my I don't know what was wrong with my sound on my laptop, but it started acting stupid. And so, you know, we had to just go ahead and end that stream and do something different. So, I'm trying to put on my do not disturb so it doesn't mess me up. In my stream, I'm on my phone now. So, you know what? I really should have gone live earlier today. And then, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like it. It's the rain's fault, you guys. It's the rain's fault. Okay? The rain did it. Cause y'all know how it just, ugh, the rain just does something to my fibromyalgia, you guys. And, I just don't be feeling like doing stuff sometimes. So I'm trying to turn on this. I'm gonna turn on Otter during this live broadcast because I wanted um to take down my notes as I'm speaking to you guys. So look at this. Oh, this is Otter on. I got it pulled up on my old phone. It's actually really good. It's a really good voice transcription app. And you know what, Otter? You guys, okay? Like I've been saying, Otter needs to go ahead and just sponsor me because I'm giving them all kinds of free publicity. Anyway, okay, so you guys, I came across this book. This was the book that I was telling you guys about. So you guys know I've been talking for a little while about the possibility of or the desire to divorce my father, right? And I said it before I even knew that this book existed or that it was really a thing. Um, so I just said it because honestly, you guys know that I've been married a couple, three, four times. But anyway, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about, well, see, this is the thing. My father used to he tried to shame me for it, right? Even up until the our last conversation, even beyond that, the messages that he would send me to would just have like those hints of um trying to shame me for my decisions as it relates to marriage. And he used to say to me, he was like, well, you're not gonna divorce me, are you? And I was just like, no. Like, okay, first of all, who does that? Like, who divorces their parent? What parent even says that? And then it's like, what, like, is that a thing? Like over the years, I think that I just started to think about it. Like, maybe that is what the problem is, And I always say that, the issues that I had with me and my father always manifested themselves in my relationships with men. And I say relationships with men because I can't just say my romantic relationships because it even impacted how I related to my own sons. And so I just have to say men in general. Um, so just that. And then when you guys read the book, you'll see that there is parts in there, like several parts where he actually, like when he was trying to shame me and he was saying like that I didn't listen to him. And then he would build up Philip so much saying, well, he's the greatest of them all, which he is. Okay. There's no argument there, but he would say that in a way of manipulating, in a way of like trying to tear me down and um, really cast doubt and shame and on my decision making, right? And my decision making when it comes to men. But the thing is that I never took a situation, like a situation that I was in, let's a marriage, and um and just said, well, this isn't working, and so I'm just gonna stay in it, you know? And so that was a thing. But also, I made marriage a requirement. Like if you wanted to be with me, you had to be marriage minded. And see, that was one thing that my father taught me. The only real advice I remember him giving me about men and relationships and stuff is he told me that I needed to get married young because I wasn't going to be pretty forever. Now, how many times have we heard, even like here lately, a lot of these YouTube, gurus and stuff, Kevin Samuels, you know, um, talking about the same thing. And it's still like that same generational mindset, or that I don't even know if it's a generational thing, but they are definitely taking this thought process and um, carrying it on from generation to generation of men. And it's really just causing a problem, to tell you the truth. But more than anything, I realized that it was really one man that was the problem, and I didn't realize that until, my after my third marriage, and then I really like started doing the work. I started to realize like, hey, you've got problems and you really need to work on, your issues, your daddy issues, whatever. And I started, working on that on my own. I started to realize that, this is really like affecting me, and I can't just keep going from, marriage to marriage and continuing these same patterns. I have to make a change. And so what you see now in my, in my marriage and the successful relationship that I have that's, thriving and loving, is the result of hard work, the result of doing the work before I ever met him. Um, before I ever met Philip, and deciding that I would never enter another marriage until, I had done significant work to heal. And I would never enter another marriage for the wrong reasons, for fear of, needing to be in a relationship or just making bad decisions, whatever the case may be, all of that was like, I was done with it all, and decided that I needed to work on me and work on my issues so that I could have a successful marriage. Even still, though, um, there exists situations where relationships are so toxic with people that you have to sever ties, and you have to sever ties in a way that is that makes a statement, and that's why I feel like this is what's necessary in this situation, not only because of my own background um, with marriage, but because I need to make a statement in this situation um, that is both powerful for me in my healing process, but also in making a statement for um, other relationships moving forward. I don't I don't think that I'm not trying to push people divorcing their parents. Okay. Let's just go ahead and make that clear, because I already know, how people are going to think. And, so let's just go ahead and dead that argument now. It's not for that purpose. The actual purpose is that it mends and that it heals relationships. I don't feel like there is hope for my relationship with my father, but there's hope for yours, possibly, you know? But you have to be able to assess the situation and decide if that's what's best for you, and realize that you have a choice in the matter. And I think that choice is what's so powerful about this process, and about even thinking about divorcing your parent. It's just, it empowers you just to know that you have a choice, right? And then when people realize that you have a choice of whether you want to be in relationship with them or not, I think that they are a little more, they think about things a little more. Like if they, um, like they think about the things that they do, if they deserve to be in your life, because you'll cut them out of it if they don't behave correctly, and it's really as simple as that. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to just dig into this book. And what I noticed is that as I was thumbing through, I've read through, I think I read through chapter 1. Um, and I realized that this is the book. Like this is totally the book. Okay. Um, it's not available like on Kindle or anything like that. You would have to buy, if you wanted to purchase it, you would have to buy it on Amazon paperback or hardback. But what I want to do is go through the book like cover to cover, you guys. And I want to work all the steps, do everything that she suggests. As I was thumbing through, I saw an exercise where she tells you to list, all of the good qualities that you can think of in your parent, and all of those bad qualities, so that you're actually, weighing out both. Sometimes when you've been in a traumatic experience, you don't really have that um, perspective to see the good things or the humanity in a person. And in order to make an informed decision about whether you want to cut them off, you know, you should do your due diligence, right? And look at things fairly, right? So you list out the pros, you list out the cons, you list out the good, you list out the bad, and all of that stuff. It's fair, right? And so I feel like, yes, okay, I want to work through that step. I want to do all that. I want to do the due diligence and um, make an informed decision. But there was also, I mean, there's just so much good information in here as I was thumbing through, and I was just like, I have to do this, in front of my Facebook friends and my YouTube subscribers. Like, I have to do this. Um, but this book was written, gosh, when was it written? Let me just go ahead and read the foreword, okay? And the book is called Divorcing a Parent, right? So, Divorcing a Parent, and it says, free yourself from the past and live the life you've always wanted. And it's by Beverly Engel, and she's a licensed marriage and family therapist. Okay. Um, so she has some copyright, has her copyright in here. So that's why I put the copyright disclaimer behind me. So let me let you guys take a good look at that, okay? Okay. So yeah, so we're just gonna get into it. And she wrote this forward 24 years after writing the book, okay? So she says that right in the very first line. Okay, so um to my readers, it's been 24 years since Divorcing a Parent was published. During that time, a lot has changed in the world. People are more accepting of homosexuals, so there are fewer gay adults needing to divorce a parent who has repeatedly rejected them or who is constantly critical of them. And generally speaking, there is a more accepting attitude toward biracial couples, making it less necessary for adult children to divorce a parent who refuses to accept their partner or their relationship. And this makes total sense. Excuse me, you guys. This makes total sense. You can see how the world has changed and how people have become more accepting of things um, whereas before they weren't. And that caused a lot of toxicity and rifts in relationship. You can see that makes a whole lot of sense. Unfortunately, not much has changed when it comes to parents continuing to abuse, neglect, and abandon their children. The primary reason adult children are forced to consider divorcing their parents um, Let me read that one more time. Unfortunately, not much has changed when it comes to parents continuing to abuse, neglect, and abandon their children, which is the primary reason why adult children are forced to consider divorcing their parents. Although these former victims of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse survived their childhood, they have been left with scars and deficits, which make it difficult for them to conduct their lives. Unfortunately, abusive parents do not usually change their spots, and many continue to abuse their children and their grandchildren. Parental criticism, domination, and abuse still make it sometimes necessary for adult children to either temporarily separate or divorce a parent, not as a punishment, but as a way to take care of themselves emotionally. All too often, emotionally and sometimes sexually abusive parents continue their mistreatment of their children even after they have reached adulthood. Because of a lifetime of abuse, these adult children are often so weakened and confused by their parents' relentless mistreatment that they are forced to take a drastic step of stopping all contact. If you become disoriented, physically ill, or emotionally distraught every time you see a parent, it may be time to consider a timeout or even a divorce. If you have talked to your parent and tried to explain how his or her treatment affects you, only to be ignored, told you are making too much of nothing, or told you are making it up, it may be time to stop trying, at least for the time being. If you spent years in therapy, as I did, in order to recover from the abuse by a parent, only to have your progress jeopardized by continued abuse, it may be time to consider a break until you can become emotionally strong enough to handle being around him or her. Divorcing a parent is indeed a radical step, but when every other option has been explored without success, it is still a valuable one to take. Most importantly, if being around an emotionally, physically, or sexually abusive parent makes it unsafe for you or your children, I urge you to consider the options of separation or divorce. Please do not continue to subject yourself or your children to the devastating damage that continued abuse can create. I wish this book was no longer necessary, but unfortunately it is. I've had many requests for the book, and I have heard from those who are frustrated and disappointed because it went out of print. I know you wouldn't be considering this option unless it was absolutely necessary for your emotional and physical health and continued recovery. So I am happy it is once again in print. I feel gratified to be able to offer you information that will help you make this difficult decision and guide you in the process if you decide to temporarily separate or divorce from your parents. I offer this new addition to all those who desperately need it. I wish you the continued healing, love, and acceptance that you deserve. Beverly Engel, LMFT. That's licensed marriage and family therapist. Y'all, this this is the book. Like, this book is, we're gonna work through this book. We're gonna work through the steps in this book. Like, I am not missing a page or an exercise because I want to make a informed decision on divorcing my father. And I want for you guys to even see me work through the process. I want him to see me work through the process, you know. Um, and then we'll see. But I think this is really gonna be good, you guys. This is gonna be good. Oh, let me tell you about the contents. Okay, hold on one sec. Let me. Hey, Brittany. Hey, boo. Hey, good to see you. So we back on this topic, but look. So The contents is it that was the foreword that I just read to you, right? So the introduction, she starts with talking about her own decision to divorce her parent. I believe it was her mother, that she says she divorced. Um, and and so she talks about like her decision to do that, and our decision. And then she goes right into, like, part one goes right into to divorce or not to divorce, and then it talks about like the anatomy of it, and then she says it's not easy to forgive. Like, it just, like, I really believe like this is going to be a really really good book to go through. And then she talks about like different scenarios, like when your parent is hypercritical, when your parent is manipulative and controlling, when your parent continues to abuse you, when your parent continues to deny the truth. Um, she talks about breaking the cycle of abuse, breaking codependency habits. Um, Gosh, I mean, wow. And that's just through chapter 2. So, like, chapter 3, she gets into is divorce the healthy choice for you? Um, so then she talks about like looking back at the past and releasing anger, listening to your inner voice. You guys, tell me this ain't the book. Like, this is the book, okay? And then she talks about preparing yourself for divorce, making the divorce final. So now we're getting into like part 2 of her book. And then and see this chapter 4, when she talks about preparing yourself for divorce, like preparing your inner child and working on that whole piece. Because you remember, you guys, I was saying that I was like, well, my father is dead to me, but in reality he's not dead. So he can't be dead to me, because my father is, he is a violent man. He's dangerous. And so it does me no good to pretend as if he's dead, because he could still be very much a threat. So that didn't do me any good. So I noticed that strategy didn't work. And so, it may take something like this, that as long as he still walks this earth, it needs to be clear that, this is it. But not only that, but I feel like this is a step that I need to make. Remember, I was telling you guys that my friend Precious was saying that I needed closure. And then, I presented that idea to my husband, and he said, he suggested that I do this in front of you guys and be as transparent with my process of obtaining this, whatever this closure is, whatever this means. Now, I say whatever this means because, people have a different definition, or a different idea of what they think closure is, um, and how they'll get it, what it looks like for them. And so I have to decide what closure looks like, for me. Which is a totally valid point, Lancy. Divorce a parent. You don't marry a parent. Why is the word divorce being used? Which is a totally valid point. Because it's dramatic. Okay. And besides, let's just look up the definition of divorce. Let's just look up the definition of divorce. Okay. Okay. So the definition is the legal dissolution of marriage by a court or other competent body. Then there's another definition. The legally dissolve one's marriage with someone. And then there's another definition. Separate or dissociate something from something else. And see, I'm gonna have to do a whole live stream um, about this idea of why a divorce is a necessary word. And let me just go ahead and just put it really simply. This is what I think, what I have observed, right? Is that in a traditional Christian marriage, right, there are vows that you take for better, for worse, to death do apart. Look, I got for better, for worse tattooed on me, if you can believe that. Okay. And then, so for better, for worse, to death do us part, in sickness and health. And those are the vows that you take, right? Those are also the unspoken vows that a child has to their parent. So there is an expectation that you will take care of your parents when they become older. You will be around. You will, like, all the vows that you traditionally take in a traditional Christian marriage are the vows that you have to a parent. Now, in a healthy situation, really a parent wouldn't expect that from you in a healthy situation, right? But also in a healthy situation, you would freely give those things. You'd have no problem. You'd be like, well, yeah, like that's my parent. But when you have an unhealthy relationship with a parent, when you have a toxic parent, when you have a narcissistic, a violent, and abusive parent, they still expect those things from you. They expect that you will accept their treatment for better or for worse. They expect you to be around and to do whatever, listen to them, take their advice, take their abuse, take their mistreatment. You're expected to take all of that. Those vows are something that a an adult child of a toxic parent end up having to do, having to perform. It's an expectation. But what happens when you have been mistreated by your parent? When you've been abandoned by your parent, when you've been continuously abused by your parent? There are people who are taking care of their parents right now and still being abused by that very parent who need them to take care of them. And I just say, hell no. Hell no. It's a no for me. It's a hell no for me. That is why I use the word divorce. And it'll make a whole lot of more sense. A whole lot of more. Okay. If you go back to the beginning of the video, and if you go to my YouTube page and see my history of dealing with these issues, and then you'll see, even moving forward, get my book. One thing that I can tell you is that I am not making this decision lightly, which is why I purchased a book from a licensed licensed marriage and family therapist, so that I can work through the steps and decide if that is a viable step for me. But it's not unheard of. This book was written in 1990. It was copyrighted in 1990. And she did a rewrite of the book, put it back in print in 2014. And here we are in 2022, where I'm picking up the book and saying that this may be a very necessary step for me. And the reality is that it may be a very necessary step for a lot of us. But that is not my purpose. My purpose is not to promote divorcing a parent. My point is, my purpose is to promote healing these relationships. But until people realize that you even have a choice, like you have a choice of whether you're going to deal or not. It's my choice. And I need to know if I need to exercise that choice. So I got the book. And I'm going to work through the steps right in front of you guys. So then maybe you can tell me why I use the word divorce after you've, heard my story and, seen me work through the steps. That's fair, right? I think so. So that's what it is. I mean, that's what we're gonna do. That's how we're gonna, proceed with this. But like I said, other than this, I haven't seen much of a blueprint for anything that I have been dealing with my father. So we're gonna see. We're just gonna see how this works out. That is all. That is it. That is all. It's funny. Okay, there's this guy. He's like a comedian, right? I don't know why this is so funny to me, but every time he does this little skit, he does like these little skits where he tells stories like he's really this person, but he's not. And every time he starts to tell a story, he's like, "Okay, so you remember when I told y'all about such and such, right?" He was like, "Okay, boom." And I don't know why that thing makes me laugh so much when he's like, "Okay, boom." And then it seems like it's something that young people do these days. Like before they start telling a really juicy story, they're like, "Okay, boom." Now, okay, let me tell. And I don't know why, but I just want to do that. Like I just want to tell y'all stories to be like, "Okay, boom." Okay, see what happened. See, this is what happened. Boom. I think I have a unique way of kind of like handling these issues with my father, Like there's things that I can laugh about and um I can still like smile, even though I'm talking about crap that just is crap. But that's because I've been doing the work. That's because I've been doing the work and I'm continuing to do the work. That's why this is so important. So, yeah, it is what it is, y'all. It's sad that these types of things are necessary. But maybe if we talk about them and we be as transparent as possible about it, then they won't be necessary. And maybe we can just kind of prevent these types of things from happening later on or in other people's families. I don't know. Whatever. But we're going to talk about this though. We are going to really like break it all down and because I know that this is like really controversial. I know that, I'll probably be criticized, probably a little scrutinized about it. I'm getting a whole lot more smoke than my dad is getting. Imagine that. How does that happen? But, it happens. I'm just glad that God equipped me for it, prepared me for this. But anyway, so I'm gonna let y'all go. And I'm gonna come back later because probably I don't know, probably in an hour or so. 'Cause y'all know how I do. Y'all know how I do. And we're gonna get right on into it. Like she starts right off with this introduction, and mm, she goes right into it, y'all. And when I tell you, when you hear like the stories of even like the people that she has had to work with in the past who, found themselves, at this decision point, you know, um, you'll understand why people have to make this declaration, because that's really what it is. It's a declaration that, like a strong statement, that is sometimes necessary in these types of relationships. Um, yeah. Plus, you guys, you should really like when you read my book, right? You're gonna see how, you're gonna see like the things that my father said to me. Um, you'll see why. Like, I think that the word divorce, using the word divorce, is gonna even make more sense too when you read the book, because that's really like how he treated me. Was like the obligations that I had to him was like a spouse, like I need you, like it was just very unhealthy, very unhealthy for sure. Yeah, very unhealthy. So it'll all make sense. Let's just put it that way. It all makes sense. Okay. I love y'all. Bye bye for now.